Okay.
Good morning,
Good morning from Brad and Boss
B&B.
in Mykolaiv, explaining the situation. So, good morning, by the way.
Dobro ranku.
And what happens is we're in Mykolaiv and we've had recent power outages, almost 2 days without any power during the winter. It's very bad because almost all the heating systems run by electricity. And Russian rockets and Shaheeds have knocked out a lot of these. And of course, they they're trying to repair all the time, and but it takes time to rebuild these substations and power stations and transmission lines. But we had our first snow yesterday, and I think that's good luck.
Yeah, my son was running around with his tongue out, trying to catch all the snowflakes. It's very crazy.
That's not a Dutch thing because American kids do it too.
Yeah, I think it's international. As soon as kids see snow, they go nuts.
Yeah. So, how did your family do?
Oh, pretty good. We have a accumulator, a battery pack, and I bought it for my work in the beginning, so I could also work
Yeah.
without power. And yeah, we could just charge up our lights. And well, we were very lucky. Our area, they installed a generator next to the heating supply. So they can still run and burn gas to get our heating going.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, after a day we thought, oh no, it's gonna get very cold, and then they turned it on and we were very happy.
Yes.
One thing I loved when the power came back was I was on the street and there was a big cheer. Everybody was going, woohoo! When the lights turned on again after 38 hours.
You can see what one of my alternative heating methods is leave a burner on and close the kitchen door. So at least one room is 5 or 10 degrees warmer than the rest of the house.
Yeah, I think you should order a coal monoxide detector.
A what? A cold water what?
Coal monoxide.
I don't know.
The English word is different. But to make sure that you have enough oxygen in your house.
It's a great idea, but I think that this place, as cold as it is, probably has a lot of air leaks. I don't know where, but
No, they have, because of this
yeah.
and other things, like last night there was a fire, guy
carbon
died.
monoxide.
Also because people tried to get warm.
You know, you would think in this, I have what's called individualny otoplenia. That means you have your own heating system, which hangs on the wall and it runs water through all your radiators. It runs on a gas burner and they're very meticulous about the exhaust. They're crazy about that. It has to be inspected. That's great. But where is there a fresh air induction? You know, like a lot of our fireplaces in the West, we have fresh air brought in directly to the fire, so it's not sucking all the oxygen out of your living space. But that means it's drawing all your oxygen out, and supposedly they're controlling all the gases and monoxide out. But if they had better fresh air into the fire, it would make a circulation better. But I don't know why they don't do that here. You would think there would be some kind of mechanism for that, considering the amount of gas heaters they have here.
I think it's very hard to isolate a point where you want to draw cold air into your house. So this you have like a chimney now, and
Yes.
that just blows out the hot air.
Right.
So you cold air is not coming in if you're using it. But if you
Right.
have an air supply,
Yes.
then you have like a straight connection with the outside.
A pipe or a
So
duct.
then you have
to
to
the outside.
burn even more to compensate that cold that comes from the.
Well, that's
think.
true, but if it's only a let's see, the diameter might be like that or smaller. That goes directly to the flame. It that goes into or right next to or into the firebox. I don't know, but yeah, it would take some different kind of engineering. I know they do that for Franklin stoves in the U.S. Cabin stoves and sometimes fireplaces because they don't want to completely dry out the inside of the house and take out all the oxygen. But
It's
that
very
was just me wondering.
yeah no. Well, there are not many of these in Ukraine. In the Netherlands, um, we have like for example hot water.
Yes.
We have a boiler that runs on gas
Yes.
in the toilet for hot water, showering, and everything.
Okay.
But here, because the toilets never are never close to a wall, to an outside wall.
Yes.
The toilets are like the best isolated place and also the safest place if there's a trivoga, an air alarm, and the rockets are coming. You want to sit
Yes.
in your
Well, that's
bathroom.
right.
So here they have only electrical ones because then
Yes.
you don't have poisonous gases coming out.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but
Well, yeah, I've had friends that succumbed to gas overnight, even from a water heater. But, and I used to turn this off at certain times, like in the daytime, I would turn it off for 2 hours. And sometimes if I woke up at
so
night,
do
I
you.
would turn it off. And then use the ambient heat in the walls, and then maybe some electric. But of course, as soon as you take out the energy supply, you've complicated everything beyond what you can control for very well.
Can I get another coffee?
Пожалуйста.
Jaku.
And for Americans, that's please and thank you.
Yeah, well,
But it's in Russian. But
yeah.
oh, wait a minute, he said дякую.
You have to say budlaska.
Yes,
And,
будь ласка is. I should have instead of пожалуйста, I should have said будь ласка because that's Ukrainian. But he said the right word, дякую. He didn't say спасибо. He said дякую. I'm learning, but man, I'm an old dog. I'm going to tell you something.
well, I feel old.
That's the new excuse. Old timers can use that that's your catch-all excuse for every damn thing.
Did you? There's actually a Dutch guy. He's a Bushmo. You're not allowed to say that without alcohol, but there we
Budmo,
go.
I didn't know that.
That's Ukrainian.
That's a Ukrainian toast, budmo.
Yeah.
But he says it's not polite to say that with alcohol or something like that.
No, my wife doesn't like it when I do that.
Means you're an old hard drinker.
It means you have a special coffee.
Oh, not like Irish coffee or something else. Well, I'm sorry I interrupted you to explain that to the Americans.
No worries. No, there was this guy. He was very famous because he was a motivational speaker. He made people walk over these hot coals
Yeah.
and everything, and he's very nuts. He called his son Rolls Royce and like that stuff.
Yeah.
So he sued the state because he wanted to change his age. No, I'm not even kidding. He's 70 and he wanted to change it to 40 or something because he said it was ageism. And he felt not like his age
That's
was.
an interesting idea.
Yeah, it
People
was.
change their names.
And genders.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he failed. But
well, I used to.
Autobahn.
Now I use the excuse of identity theft, so I change my birthday. Sometimes it's only by a day or two. Sometimes it's by 10 years in a day. Depends whether it's a dating site or if it's a business deal. Some you can't, like U.S. banks, you got to come up with pretty much coherent data. But
Yeah, well, if you register somewhere, and you should never use your real date except for a bank and stuff, but you should always use the same date. Make yourself 10 years younger and then pick a date that you will never forget.
Yes.
Like I use International Women's Day because it's very important here. And if you have a girlfriend or a
You just gave
wife,
away your secret on your coding.
well, it changed now because we don't do it anymore
Ah,
because it's
okay.
Soviet shit. So and we don't want Soviet shit. So yeah,
What do we do with the Ukrainian women?
well, they have their own day. I think they have the women's,
Oh,
but we're
different. Okay,
yeah.
good.
It's like uh, you have all these things that the Soviet made Ukrainians and the whole Soviet Union do to forget their own identity
Oh,
and
yeah.
to like, but like Santa Claus.
Oh, yes.
So here you used to have Santa Claus. It's like 500 years old. The
Ah,
celebration of Santa Claus. He's
yeah.
a saint patron.
Patron saint of Mykolaiv,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, and of children.
Saint Nicholas,
And
yes.
of sailors at the same time, which is a
Yes,
little
yes.
weird. But yeah, so but because it's very Ukrainian,
Yeah.
they didn't want it. Everybody in the Soviet Union had to believe the same thing, so they made Father Frost. Uh,
Dead Moroz.
yes,
But,
and that one is on 1st of January, and it was like because they were also anti-religion, so Christmas.
oh, yes.
So they had Father Frost, and he would. It's like yeah, it was
Yeah.
like a fake.
Well, even in the West, we have elves. It's kind of more pagan, Santa Claus and the elves, and they live at the North Pole. It has little to do with any Christian doctrine or the birth of Christ, etc.
No, no, yeah, it's all
Except the spirit of giving, which is pretty much transcultural. So,
yeah, yeah, and then it's. I think it's a pagan celebration of that the days getting longer again because 20
solstice, yeah,
yes it's so and because all these parties all these celebrations were already there. I think the Christians just adapted them and made them
sure.
theirs.
Well, they were known for that, especially St. Paul in Rome. Everything was, well, yeah, this is the same as that, but this is better.
Now it's ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know we have Easter, and it's one of the most pagan, and it's like a spring solstice or something. But it's a very paganized thing. Rabbits and chickens and eggs and
Yeah, and for most Christians, it's the most important. In
that's
many
right.
countries, even more important than Christmas.
Yes,
Although,
that's right.
because of America, now Christmas is really
Well,
big.
supposedly Good Friday is the most holy, sacred day in Christendom. It's supposed to be anywhere, and that's the day of the crucifixion. It's even more holy than the Ascension, or when he arose on Easter, because that was the day that it began. And but it's even and then there's a lot of arbitrary question even in the church about celebrating the birth of Christ, etc. But you know, that's more just about setting a date and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're both not religious.
I'm pseudo-religious. I'm probably, yeah. I've tried religions out quite a bit. I think they've all got some good things, or their or their or their conscripts would have been extincted by now. But the thing is I can't buy into all of it because I mean, still we're organic and we all have to live with a body and a certain amount of time, and those limitations make stress. They even make worse psychic stress because now you have memories that are confused with reality and dreams and everything, which I won't go into my psychological baloney right now because this is just a light discussion about cultural situation. So actually I adapted pretty good. I'm surprised. But we had that 4 days without water. It was grim.
Yeah, that was
Earlier, six
worse,
months.
much worse.
But I know when you were talking about it, you mentioned you didn't have enough water. Well, I've been you've been living here though. How long you been here?
In Mykolaiv, I think about 5 years.
Yeah, and I've been here 18 years out of the last 20. So, but I've seen people have these big collections of old bottles and jugs, plastic, full of just tap water, and they leave it under somewhere because the water goes off here traditionally once or twice a month, and often once or twice a week. And they just flush their commode out of a bottle.
Yeah, I have four of them, 8 liters a
Oh,
piece. But it turns out, if somebody does a number two or number one, I don't know
oh,
which one you refer to with the numbers,
they all get
the
bad.
the one with a substance that you really don't want to see and you want to flush away,
Yeah.
only because of the smell, and
Yeah.
the opticals are also not too good. You need more than one bottle. It's horrible.
Oh,
I don't know.
yes.
Those things are the toilets are designed for to have like 20 liters and then it goes away. But if you throw it in there,
Yes.
it just breaks it up, which is not good for smell, and it just keeps floating. So, and I have yeah, a little son that yeah. So yeah, after a while we were just running out of water.
He's got two kids, by the way. But
Yeah, you can see it
the,
from here.
he's married to a Ukrainian woman. Women. A
Well,
woman.
only one. That's just
Yeah.
keep it simple. I never understood people that have many women because Jesus Christ, can you
Yeah,
imagine?
it's
Always
enough for a
complaining.
quick one.
No, I'm joking.
I married two Ukrainian girls. I took one to America, and she didn't. She went into culture shock. But after 6 or 7 years, we divorced. And then I married a second one here in Ukraine. And as it happened, I got my permanent residency. I didn't marry her for that reason, but I wanted, when I did marry her, I wanted to stay here. So I applied for it. And I've been here all the time since 2012.
Yeah, I think we both got here because of women.
Well, when I first came here, I couldn't believe it because not only was the culture calmer, it wasn't, like in the USA, we have a lot of racism, drugs, animosity. People are worried about their space. There's just a lot of tension. They didn't have that here. They have very different customs about personal space and things like that. They're more relaxed than we are. But I like their culture. Their people were very nice. Uh, the women, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. What else? Oh, the prices. Okay, so I'm an econom guy. I could
I'm
buy a
Dutch.
beer. I could buy a beer for 20 cents. A loaf of bread was 20 cents. I went crazy. I thought, why am I not living here? And by the time I retired, I did move here. But go ahead, Dutchman.
No, well, we're very tight.
Yeah,
We're like
it's
the
a good.
Scotsman of Europe.
Yes, I know
So,
you have that reputation. It's a good thing, though. I think it's a matter of efficiency. So, which I do. I did some videotapes on that, but that's a different story. Uh, well, I really love the culture. And I told people here many times, I'm glad I'm here. I like living here better than the USA. And for a lot of economic and cultural reasons. They say, but why Mykolaiv? I said, because it's not big and touristic like Kiev or Odessa. It's near the Black Sea. It's on the rivers, just like St. Louis is at the conjunction where I grew up. This town reminds me of where I grew up. Uh, Between Engle and Boog River, we had the Mississippi, Missouri. They have shipbuilding. I worked at St. Louis Ship Federal Barge in the summer, sometimes as a mechanic cutter when I was 19 years old. But uh, what else? Well, it reminds me a lot. The architecture is an alien. The streets were designed for people. They have room for cars, but it's not a completely, parking lots and cars and multi story parking and traffic jams, road rage. I think that will be coming because it's been slowly seeping in all the Western Ills and I feel very sorry for Mykolaiv, but I feel sorry for any country. They're going to get rid of some old problems, but they're going to get some new problems. And they're also going to have this post war mentality, and they're also going to have a post war economy, which it depends on how it's settled. I know with Donald Trump is now the president or president elect. We'll see how it goes in January 20th. By the way, today is December 3rd, just for anybody who checked this out a week or two after we made it. So, this is some of the things Westerners are looking at when we're in a different culture. But I was very attracted to it. I remember my second. Well, I've been lucky. I mean, I married very nice, attractive ladies, etc. But the thing is I got into the what they call a marshrutka. This is a little minivan. They're everywhere. They have the best transportation in the world right here. It's even better in Mykolaiv than in Kiev, Odessa, other cities. You don't ever wait for there's one every 8 or 10 seconds coming to a lot of these Astanovkas. That's a bus stop. So you can get on anywhere in the city. It's like 20 cents, 25 cents. It used to be like a nickel. Uh, and it's very quick, although it can be crowded and bumpy. So the thing is I got onto this marshrutka, probably the first marshrutka ride I had in Nikolaev with my wife. And I'm sitting in there, and there's only two women in there. And I'm not used to seeing two nines in one place. And I'm looking at two of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, really. One of them had a child, beautiful, and the other one is blonde, and one was black hair. They knew immediately I was not from their local situation, and they looking at me kind of curiously, but I didn't want to stare. Number one, I'm still newlywed with my wife, and the other thing, what, but it was really, and their facial expressions were very interesting for me. The way this was at a time when you didn't see a lot of Americans around Ukraine or anybody. In fact, Nikolaev used to be a secret city that wasn't even on the map. You had to have special credentials and a checkpoint to go in or leave because it was shipbuilding and they had a lot of technology here in Nikolaev. Ship fitting, retro fitting for all kinds of weaponry, even when Ukraine was the third largest nuclear producer and place. But anyway, long story short, you were less apt to be known in Nikolaev than most of the cities. I mean, as a Westerner in Ukraine. But you still go to villages where they can hardly believe that somebody would come here from the West. You know, they think of it as New York, Hollywood, Las Vegas, Miami. They don't really know what America is, but they see what's put on TV and movies from years and years. So I got on a pretty long ramble there.
Yeah, I think well, I live not in the center of the city,
No,
and for people who don't live in the center of the city, the marshrutkas can be pretty shit
that's true.
because they have a certain route, and if you're unlucky, then you have to jump from one marshrutka to another one, and they do not connect.
Mm.
So it's like if I would go to the zoo from my house. If I take a car, I'm there in 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
If I take a marshrutka, 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh,
And I
but
used
what
to.
about parking?
Oh, there's a big parking spot next to
Okay.
the. And here, this is Ukraine. So you just park on the road.
He lives in the suburbs, probably even what we would call even almost like at the edge of the suburbs in the U.S. But well, also right now there's transportation is under stress too. But yeah, city center in the city, it's a Amazing. You wouldn't believe it. You have alternatives. You can take a city train, which is it's like a big electric bus. They have electric buses. They have gasoline, diesel buses. They have, uh,
Gas,
yeah,
biogas.
yeah, and even taxis are cheap. My average ride here in Mykolaiv is about $2 and a quarter, $2, you know. And the reason that's the reason I don't have a car. It's easier for me to just call a taxi.
Yeah, not for me.
He lives in the suburbs. He has to. He's still westernized.
No, I'm more integrated than you because you have all these luxuries. I don't have luxuries.
What luxuries are you looking
But
at?
you have taxis that arrive,
That
marshrutkas
I
that
do.
work.
I do. I can't complain about that. My taxi drives up to my steps because I'm in a yard. We have, and the steps like a stupenki, and the yard is Devore. Okay, I just order the taxi to come into the yard, and they already know me from being here years. They just turn around a loop and they're there. And I'm a pretty good customer too because I often tip. I try to be very uh, careful, in my directions. And the taxi guys always laugh and say, "You have clean Russian." Now I try to squeeze in some Ukrainian too.
We have to adapt. No, where I live, there are often checkpoints because they are looking for draft dodgers,
Oh,
and so taxi drivers they know this because everybody wants each other, and they don't want to go there. So if you even order a taxi, they say no, 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 I'm not gonna go there, but you have to cancel, so they don't get like a bad review. So yeah, and yeah, and also with Mashrutkas, um, we noticed that there are less men, less male drivers,
yeah,
so they have trouble filling all the Mashrutkas with male drivers. And now it's like when in Second World War, when all the men were at war, all the females had to adapt. They had to go into factories, make artillery and stuff like that. And
yeah,
now you see more female drivers. Before that, it was like was very special if you would have a female marshrutka driver
yeah,
or a female taxi driver. But you see that more and more, and
yes,
so it's pretty good for. That's horrible, but it will emancipate the women more. They have now everybody's taking driver's lessons because their husband is at the front or in the army, and they still have to bring the kids around, and taxis are not that cheap. So then they take lessons and get their driver's license, and they're more mobile, and they have to do everything. It's yeah, it's, everything is changing.
yeah. I talk occasionally with the English group about the idea of post-war mentality and economy, and I'm often talking about what they might expect, and it'll be interesting. We'll probably make more videotapes as we go because even after the war's over, you're going to get a lot of news from Russia and the border and the wall or the line or the demilitarized zone or whatever is here. Plus, you're going to have a lot of European soldiers or some other arrangement that I don't know, but it's going to be stressors. Some people will return to Ukraine because we had a lot of people leave, and some will not. And this has made some real stress in families and economic situations. And Ukraine's trying to cope, and they're getting help from Europe and the U.S. and Japan and South Korea. Pretty much all the allies of the West and the USA and Europe are all trying to help mostly, and they're trying to do it in a concerted, efficient way. And there's graft everywhere, always, and there will be post-war graft too. But the people uh, here are pretty adaptable because it's not like they have luxury on a regular basis, so they have to be adaptable. So if anybody is going to do good under a situation like that, it's probably going to be the Ukrainian people. But this is 3 years now. It's getting pretty hard, and you'll hear people talking about that. They
Well,
did, saying that they might have to get a peace where they don't immediately get all their land back for the country, and they'll have to make some deals with the West that they probably wouldn't have made before, but they should be good deals, better than they would get from Russia. Because within 2 to 3 years of taking over Ukraine, Russia would conscript all the Ukrainian men into the next front for war against the Baltics and Poland, and who knows, maybe Romania. I don't know. They might have to take over Moldova and Romania to keep Odessa. So you never know. And I won't go into any of the big strategy about that right now. Not that I know it. I'm just guessing about it from the way you see them acting.
well, for many people, the war started in 2014 when they took over Crimea.
Yes.
Yanukovych went away. I have many people in my street that went to ATO. They went to fight the terrorists in Donbass. There we had a little peace with a demilitarized zone. Demilitarized zone didn't work at all. People were still shooting at each other, and you can see now that people that were in those areas that they occupied, they all have been sent to the front as on the Russian side, and many of them died
Yes, yes.
because they see them as less than Russian.
That's
Uh,
right.
People with that come from the Donbass,
Yeah.
Luhansk, that
Donetsk.
yeah, and even they have a Russian passport, but they cannot get into Russian mainland because for them they're like yeah,
Uh, they,
less.
they didn't realize they were going to be captive and soldiers, and they will be the first to die.
Yeah, yeah, they're
They'll do that with the entire nation if they could. I'm glad to see they're losing power in Syria, Georgia, and some other countries. I'm glad NATO brought in Finland, Sweden, and trying to get people ordered in. Finland and Sweden were in really great shape, though. They were ready to go. They knew what Russia's capable of, and they're serious players.
yeah, they're proactive. Um, m- Most European countries they're just waiting and hoping for the best.
You know,
With war is tough. It's better to be proactive and make sure that you're ready for whatever comes. Plan for the worst and then hope for the best.
the Balts are sending lots of assistance as well as Poland because they know that the war is happening here. And as long as they can begin to defeat Russia here, that's less energy and time and money they'll need for defense of their own nation. But it also buys time. They can up their production and buying of weaponry and defensive uh, systems. So, yeah. What do you think? We should take a break from
Yeah.
this? Okay.
No, I think
Or we keep going?
we can have a little break and see if everything is
Okay.
registered.
Okay.
Because